everybody. This is Dr. Craig with AI, and I'm delighted to have Kathryn with us, who's the Community Development Leader for Diffit. Good morning, Kathryn.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to share Diffit and just to get the chance to speak with you.
Fantastic. Well, we love what you're doing. We love Diffit. It's a fabulous platform. So why don't you tell us about yourself, though?
Yeah, so I'm a former teacher. I taught for about 8 years. I taught history, mostly world history in California. And I taught 2 years of middle school, 6 years of high school, and always loved incorporating technology in ways to ensure that things were easier for me and more effective for my students. Those were always kind of my ground rules for when I bring in technology into the classroom. And I ended up doing a lot of like teacher trainings. And then when we went to remote learning, I ended up being the person that my district called upon to host a ton of trainings, one of a few, host a ton of trainings, prepare everyone for remote learning. And I discovered that I was enjoying working with teachers more than I thought I was going to. I really loved empowering them and helping them solve problems and helping them reach their students. And I was feeling a little burnt out in my own classroom. So I went looking for a new role and was so lucky to have been found by the co-founders of Diffit, Adam and Vlad, and asked to join their team to help build community and support teachers.
I love that there are these solutions coming out that remove the barriers to teaching, learning, and assessment and increase the equity opportunities in classrooms as well in communities. And I can see that Divot really is one of the solutions for that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when I was a teacher, I as I mentioned, I was a world history teacher, but I also one of my classes that I taught was for newcomer English learners. And so I would have a class of 20, 30 students who had almost no exposure to the English language, all spoke different home languages, and I was still expected in my state to teach them the world history content standards as rigorously as I could. And if I had had a tool like Diffit, I just know I would have saved a lot of sleep and also just been able to, with so many of these AI tools, I would have been able to make the learning more accessible for my students, which would have helped them feel more empowered and more excited to be in the classroom, because that's such a scary experience for so many students who might not know the majority language on a campus. There's so many barriers for them having a positive experience, and being able to make the learning accessible is just one way to make that experience easier for them.
I had the privilege of last year spending quite a bit of time at a Kura Kaupapa Māori school, which is an immersion school with a native Maori language of New Zealand drives, and the culture drives the curriculum and the delivery. And we used Diffit just after it launched there and searched for in the Ask Anything or the Anything box. So we typed in there Maramataka, which is a system of behavior and planning activities around the cycles of the moon rather than the calendar, and reflecting the changes that it has on us and our options. And Diffit picked it up, found it, created a great adapted piece of text, questions, and then student activities afterwards. And so I was just blown away that it was able to pick up those things that are quite specific to groups in New Zealand. So I imagine it works just as well around the world.
Yeah, and I love hearing stories like that because, in order to make learning more accessible for students, we want to be able to represent their culture. We want to be
Mm,
able to represent the things that they're passionate about and bring those into the classroom. For a teacher who has 20, 30, 40 students, that can be really challenging. Or for a teacher who maybe isn't as aware of the culture that they're teaching
mm.
to, that can make them feel a little insecure about what they're doing. And I love how technology and how, Diffit in particular makes it so much easier for teachers to respond to the students in their classrooms, to their needs, to their passions, to their culture, to their
Mm.
background, and bring that in without it being such a burden on the teacher. So then the teacher can get as equally excited about it and learn alongside their students. So we have so many teachers who talk about using it for project-based learning because now it makes it easier to really individualize that education for every single student. So I love hearing stories like that of how it's breaking down some of those barriers that used to exist in education.
Fantastic. Why don't you tell us what you do on a day-to-day basis with Diffit?
Oh, it's a wild ride. So I spend most of my time empowering teachers, building our teacher community on Facebook, our Diffit certified educator program, and our ambassador program to ensure that educators who want to learn more about Diffit, who want to collaborate with others about how to use it in meaningful ways in the classroom, have those spaces, have those communities, and have those resources. So I spend time, helping empower those communities, and I spend a lot of time building resources to share out with them based on their feedback, based on what they're saying their needs are in order to use the tool more effectively.
Right. I like that I had over our holiday period during Christmas time, we had the opportunity to give feedback on some of those development tools, such as the picture tool, popping up a picture at the top of the adaptive text, and the way that that was formatted, and looking at it and seeing it being launched and going, "Wow, I had the chance to actually contribute to that," and that's actually really valuable.
Yeah, it truly, we believe in being a teachers first company and a
Mm,
teachers first product. So that feedback loop is a big part of our community experience. We just released a new feature that's more geared toward the United States. It's our standards and
mm,
skills alignment, though the general literacy skills that we've released today will be useful for almost any teacher. And that process for, we went through and got lots of different groups of teachers to test it out in all of its different stages to get that feedback, get them on calls. And it
mm.
really helps us figure out how to ensure that this is doing the most good for the most teachers, which in turn is doing the most good for the most students.
Yeah, very good. I'd love for you to share, for those who haven't experienced Diffit yet, what it's like to generate a set of teaching, learning, and assessment resources.
I would love that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So if you've never used Diffit before, you just go to diffit.me, diffit.me. I'm going to adjust my screen just a little bit so this is easier for me. There we go. Move this down. Sorry about that. Okay. So you go to diffit.me, diffit.me, and it's going to start here with literally anything. And this is great if you know like the learning topic or the concept or the question you want your students to work on. You can type that in here. Then you're able to choose the grade level. We have grades 2 through 12 and choose the language. And right now we have over 70 languages available, but we know that there's more needs than that. So if you have students in
Mm,
your classroom that read or speak a particular language and you want us to represent that, just let us know. We absolutely love feedback. I'm going to go ahead and start with the causes of World War II, just as a former history teacher, throw that in there, but I could put in literally any topic here. Something that's a little bit new is you can now toggle between fiction and nonfiction. So if you
mm,
wanted it to create a story or a narrative instead of an informational text, you have that ability. I'll
great.
choose the grade level of 8th grade. These are going to be based on those US grade levels. And then the language I'm going to keep in English for now. You'll also notice there's this article or video option or any text or excerpt. While it's working, I'll explain those. So what I've used is the literally anything tab. I give it a topic, I give it an idea, it's going to build the resources for me. But if I had a video, an article, or a PDF that I knew I wanted to use with my students, I could put that in and choose a grade level for it to adapt to, or allow it to build resources off that original text or original video. And when I say resources, you're going to see them in just a second. It's a reading passage, summary, multiple choice questions, vocabulary list, short answer questions, and open-ended prompts. And of course, with all of these, we know teachers need to be able to make things just right. So you can still go through and edit, tweak them, fine-tune them, and really make them tailored to the needs of your students in your classroom. So the
I
first
love
thing
that.
it's going to do, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I love that. I love that it's you can upload a file. So for teachers that have been teaching for 5 to any longer, you end up with all of these resources that you know really work. They're targeted for the curriculum. They fit your kids in your community, and you want to be able to use that. And you think, oh no, there's all this new technology, and it's taking them everywhere else. I want to focus them down. If we can bring in those resources we've already got, we know they work. We know they meet the curriculum expectations. Drop it into Diffit, and away we go.
Yeah, and what I love about that is if you have those existing sources as well, it really allows you to extend things you already are using in your
Mm,
classroom. So if you're like, I don't need it to create a reading for me, but I want more vocabulary activities, or I want more questions to go with this. I want to have my students have a discussion, but I'm not sure where to start with those open-ended questions. It can build all that out for you. Or if you
mm,
have students at different reading levels in your classroom, or students who read in different home languages, you can make things more accessible for them more quickly. So the first thing you'll notice, it'll suggest an image and give you a wide range of images to choose from. It always shows you the sourcing information. These are not AI generated. With that reading passage, I can click show sources. I can see where it's pulling the information. So while we use AI to power what we do, this is not the same as going to ChatGPT and typing in causes of World War II, where it might hallucinate and make some things up. It's going to look at a bunch of sources and pull those all together and write this passage from those sources and show you that sourcing information. If there's one that doesn't quite work for you, you can always edit and remove it. But like I said, you've got that summary, that vocabulary list, all of these you can edit and customize, you can add more. You've got our multiple choice questions, our short answer questions, and our open-ended prompts. And then once you're feeling like these are how you want them to be for your students, you say get student activities, and we've got all these digital and printable resources. You can share them immediately too. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab our printable Google Doc here and say get activity. It's going to take everything we've created here and throw it into that Google Doc for us. I guess I haven't used this today because it's making me sign into everything. And it should immediately open. If you don't use Google, that's fine. You can also download as a PDF, Microsoft Word. We have PowerPoint available. You'll see right here, this one I could do as a PDF or a doc. And we've got our resource here ready to print and share with students. And again, I could still go back and edit and change this if I needed to, but it's now a printable activity. We have digital ones as well. But I think the real power in Diffit is what we were talking about before. You have existing things, you're able to adapt them. Whether it's something you've just put in or something new, you can now take this and regenerate it for a different reading level or a different language to ensure that the same content is accessible to all the students in your classroom. So
Amazing.
that's the basics of Diffit.
That's fantastic. And so you can have a theme and a topic running across multiple levels in a school and tailor the adaptive passage to the reading level to make sure it's accessible. With the languages, you said there's quite a number of languages in there. Are you putting Te Reo Māori from New Zealand in there as a language?
What?
Te Reo Māori, M-A-O-R-I,
MA? Let's see.
M-A-O-R-I.
I don't think we have it yet, but I'll make sure I tell my team right away.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Like I said, we have about 70 languages right now, and we're always adding more. So I'll put in that request. We got a request for another language today from Eastern Europe. So we're always constantly adding more languages in, again, to make it as accessible as we can to as many students as possible.
Wonderful. I mean, New Zealand's a very multicultural country, and having all those other languages in there is really powerful. So going forward, what are some of the, can you give us a sneak peek into what might become some of the new developments that are coming down the pipeline?
I think our newest one I can share right now is our general skills, our general literacy skills alignment. So you'll notice here we have our standards alignment, which I know in New Zealand probably isn't going to be as clear of a use case as our, if you go to ELA here, and you click general literacy skills. Here, if you're having students working on things like finding the main idea, making connections and inferences, point of view, theme, word choice, you can now select these.
Oh, that's very general, isn't it? Anyone in the world could use that as a teacher.
Yeah, that was our hope. We knew when we launched standards, we had to also launch something for our international teachers as well, since we were focused on those United States standards first and that United States curriculum. And so we wanted to make sure there was these like general skills, and this will now align whatever topic you put in here. I'm just going to go ahead and put in mitosis, save it for 5th grade. But any topic you put in there, the questions, the short answer questions and the multiple choice questions will now align to those literacy skills. And our hope is that it gives a higher quality question and also allows teachers to really, again, fine tune those questions to meet the goals of what they're aiming for with the lesson. And they're going to load in just a second. You'll be able to see, if we go here, word choice, main idea, it'll show you which question aligns with which part of the
Nice.
skills you've. So that's our newest thing. Other than that, I can't share too much just yet. I will say though, the biggest thing is teacher feedback. Anytime we get teacher feedback, it is immediately considered as we're looking at our roadmap and we're looking at what's coming next. We truly are using feedback from teachers to figure out how to make the product even better. So anytime, like, we love teachers who give us tons of emails of like, I'd like to see it do this or that or this, because it really helps us ensure that we're meeting the needs of teachers. And like I said before, when you meet the needs of teachers, you meet the needs of students.
Awesome. And so how can teachers get involved with training, certifications, and things with Diffit?
Yeah, so the easiest way when you're on diffit.me is head here to learn more. And that'll take you to our website where you can get all of our professional development resources, learn about our communities. Those are here for you in order to learn more. I also highly suggest joining our Facebook community. If you just look for Diffit teachers or Diffit educators on Facebook, we have a community of about 6,000 teachers from all over the world sharing the different ways that they're using not Facebook, they're using Diffit in their classrooms. And it's so cool to see teachers are using it for station rotations, for centers, for intervention, for so many unique and different ways to personalize the learning in their classroom. That's one of the best ways to get more information, get more involved, and learn more about how to use Diffit.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you sharing your journey and also what's happening with Diffit.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you.